Hey everyone, it's me, Andrea from Andy's Corner, and we are coming to the close on the book of Job. And today, a special guest makes an appearance. Well, I guess it's not special because it's not God, but he's coming soon. So, today we are hearing from Job's fourth friend who apparently was there the whole time. And we'll find out why he's been quiet up till now. Let's dig in. We're going to be reading chapters 32 through 37. Yes, once this friend speaks, he will not be quiet. Let's dig in. So, Job's three friends refused to reply further to him because he kept insisting on his innocence. Then Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzzite, like Buzz Lightyear, of the clan of Ram, became angry. He was angry because Job refused to admit that he had sinned and that God was right in punishing him. We'll see if he's right about that. He was also angry with Job's three friends, for they made God appear to be wrong by their inability to answer Job's arguments. Elihu had waited for the others to speak to Job because they were older than he. But when he saw that they had no further reply, he spoke out angrily. And this is what he said. I am young and you are old, so I held back from telling you what I think. I thought those who are older should speak, for wisdom comes with age. But there is a spirit within people, the breath of the Almighty within them that makes them intelligent. Sometimes the elders are not wise, and sometimes the aged do not understand justice. So listen to me, and I'll tell you what I think. And by the way, that's true. Just because you're old doesn't mean you're wise. And just because you're young doesn't mean you're not wise. Think about that. I have waited all this time listening very carefully to your arguments, listening to you grope for words. I have listened, but not one of you has refuted Job or answered his arguments. And don't tell me he is too wise for us. Only God can convince him. If Job had been arguing with me, I would not answer with your kind of logic. You sit there baffled with nothing more to say. Must I also remain silent? No, I will say my piece. I will speak my mind, for I am full of pent-up words. I won't play favorites or try to flatter anyone, for if I tried flattery, my Creator would soon destroy me. Now, that was mostly talking about Job's three friends, saying, like, none of your responses were good, which he's right in saying that. They weren't very good, but he still has something against Job. So let's find out what that is. Chapter 33. Listen to my words, Job. Pay attention to what I have to say. Now that I have begun to speak, let me continue. I speak with all sincerity and I speak the truth. Now, how do we know if that's the truth or not? He's just assuming what he's saying is the truth. Now, remember, Elihu is the youngest of all these men. So that's why he was a little nervous to speak. And that's why he waited till everybody was done. But here he has to speak. And he's already like, I know the truth. Let's see. Verse 7, I won't come down on you hard. Really? Like, Job is your elder. Should you come down on him hard? Saying, like, I won't be rough with you. You said, I am pure. I am without sin. I am innocent. I have no guilt. But you are wrong. And I will show you why. For God is greater than any human being. So why are you bringing a charge against him? For God speaks again and again, though people do not recognize it. He speaks in dreams and visions of the night, or God disciplines people with pain on their sick beds. When he prays, talking about a young person or the person who is close to death, the person on their sick bed. He will be accepted, and God will receive him with joy and restore him to good standing. But if you have anything to say, go ahead, speak, for I am anxious to see you justified. But if not, then listen to me. Keep silent, and I will teach you wisdom. So he has a lot to say about God, and he has a lot to say about people who are facing death. And he's saying if they cry out to God, God will save them. Now, for the most part, a majority of what all the friends have said about God is mostly true. But it's what they assume about Job that has always been false. And in the beginning, Elihu seemed like he was supporting Job. But then you see that he's really just like his other friends, that he turns against Job. So let's see what happens. Then Elihu says, listen to me, you wise men. Pay attention, you who have knowledge. For Job also said, I am innocent, but God has taken away my rights. I am innocent, but they call me a liar. My suffering is incurable, though I have not sinned. Tell me, says Elihu, has there ever been a man like Job with his thirst of irreverent talk? He chooses evil people as companions. He spends his time with wicked men. He has even said, why waste time trying to please God? And that, friends, is where he's wrong. How does Elihu know he spends time with wicked people? And we know that he doesn't, that he is a righteous man. Yes, he's not perfect because no human is. But what he's accusing Job of here is not true. Okay, carry on. Everyone knows that God doesn't sin. The Almighty can do no wrong. He repays people according to their deeds. He treats people as they deserve. Truly, God will not do wrong. The Almighty will not twist justice, which is true, but here he is summing up Job's bad things, Job's suffering, as that he must have done something wrong. Again, just like all his other friends. So he's saying, well, you must have done something because God is a just God. But God is just. But what we don't know is we don't understand why God does certain things. And it's not for us to understand. God is God. He is beyond what we can even think of or comprehend. But at the end of this, we'll see why. And we understand why God allows these things. Then he says, but if he chooses to remain quiet, talking about God, who can criticize him? Must God tailor his justice to your demands? But you have rejected him. The choice is yours, not mine. He's saying that Job rejected God, which Job never rejected God. He may have rejected what was happening to him, saying like, nope, I don't receive this. This did not happen because of something I did. Job, you deserve the maximum penalty. Here we go again. Just a nice friend. For the wicked way you have talked. For you have added rebellion to your sin. You show no respect, and you speak many angry words against God. This is kind of funny because he's saying Job has been rebellious in his speaking against God, which he hasn't really. He's just angry and upset and emotional, and he's venting those feelings to the Lord, which you are allowed to do. God would rather you go to him with anger, frustration, than you to not go at all, to avoid him. He doesn't want that. And then he says, you show no respect. But it's kind of funny because here, Elihu, the younger guy, is not showing much respect to Job or what he's gone through. Okay, chapter 35. Do you think it is right for you to claim, I am righteous before God? For you also ask, what is in it for me? What's the use of living a righteous life? Remember when Job was like, oh man, why does it seem like the wicked get good lives and sometimes the righteous people don't get good lives? So that's what he's talking about there. And then it says here, when they cry out, God does not answer because of their pride. So here he's accusing Job of being prideful. And that's why God's not answering him, because Job is being prideful. But Elihu is also being prideful by saying all these things. And then you'll read later that he's like, I am so wise. I know what I'm saying. Like when he said, oh, I speak truth. How do we know that Elihu's truth is the ultimate truth? He's just as prideful. Okay, you say he does not respond to sinners with anger and is not greatly concerned about wickedness. Let me go on. I will show you the truth. Here, a second time he's saying, I'm going to show you the real truth. For I have not finished defending God. First of all, God doesn't necessarily need anyone to defend him. He can do that himself. God is mighty. Oh, and then, verse 4, chapter 36, he says, for I am a man of great knowledge. Prideful much? Yes. Then he says, he shows them their sins of pride, even though he's doing the same thing. If they listen and obey God, they will be blessed with prosperity. Yes, that is sometimes true, but not always. There are plenty of obedient children of God who are not wealthy, or they're just normal. For he gets their attention through adversity. Here he's saying he allows bad things to happen sometimes to people to get their attention. And that is true. But again, he still assumes Job is sinning. But watch out, you may be seduced by your wealth. Saying that maybe part of Job's sin was that because he was wealthy, and that was part of his sin. He's just assuming here. Be on guard. Turn back from evil. For God sent the suffering to keep you from a life of evil. How does he know that? He's just assuming that. But that is not why God allowed this to happen. And again, we can see that because we read chapter 1. So he's saying like, oh, God did this to make you be fearful of him, basically, so that you live a righteous life. No. Chapter 37, verse 13. He makes these things happen either to punish people or to show his unfailing love. So teach the rest of us what to say to God. We are too ignorant to make our own arguments. And here he's being sarcastic with Job. If you're so smart, then teach us how to respond to God. We cannot imagine the power of the Almighty, but even though he is just and righteous, he does not destroy us, which is true. No wonder people everywhere fear him. All who are wise show him reverence, which is true. But Elihu is still assuming that Job has done something wrong. And we know he doesn't. But my question to you is, what did you see about God in these chapters? Now, clearly I did not read all 5 chapters on this video because that would be an extremely long video. But you go take time to read those 5 chapters and see what stuck out to you about God. Or even in this video, what stuck out to you about God? For me, I liked how he does say like God sees all things, and he does recognize God's power and that he's greater than any human being. And he says he does use adversity or trials to bring people to him. And he also talks about that God will receive him with joy and restore him to good standing. God is always waiting for us to come to him, whether we have been sinning and turned our back on God, or whether we're just going through a hard time and want to run to God. God is ready and willing and waiting to receive you with joy. That, my friends, is exciting. So whatever you're going through today, or if you don't trust God, or you walked away from God, or you're like, God's not for me, think twice. Go to God. He is willing, waiting, and what was the other one? Ready to receive you with joy. Okay, now, I promised you our next episode is God speaking. So, you don't want to miss that. That doesn't happen that much in the Bible, But these words are directly from God. So don't miss that episode. And don't forget to like or subscribe. All right? Bye.